as the sun sets on a beautiful Friday night here in the upstate, as no better night for the annual pink meet here in Littlejohn Coliseum as the Clemson Tigers play host to the 19th ranked NC State Wolfpack in what is starting to blossom as one of the ACC's premier rivalries. Last season, 1 and 2 in the conference between these two teams alongside Sydney Sneed, the former Bulldog of Georgia. I'm Daniel Gilman, so happy to be with you. And well, Sydney, two very talented squads, but where are the strengths for each team?
Yeah, well, Daniel, we've got Clemson coming off of a season high last week on bars, and NC State with their highest floor score of the year in their win against Pitt on Saturday. So it's going to be a close competition tonight.
Clemson with a tight loss at UNC on Sunday, and they look to bounce back, kicking off a 3-meet homestand here in Littlejohn. And you've done a match here before. The atmosphere, 6 straight sellout coming in tonight. What does it bring for not just the home side, but the opponents as well?
How incredible to be in an atmosphere where you have the support of so many fans. It's electric in here. I can barely hear myself talk commentating this, so it's exciting. It gives you extra juice, and I'm so excited for these athletes to experience that.
Well, Clemson found themselves in the top 25 for most of this season, but they've just eked out 27th, and the top 36 make their way to the NCAA postseason. So this, a pivotal mid-season matchup, and the second time this year that Clemson and NC State have seen each other on the same floor. They were involved in the Sprouts quad meet to start the year, but we get ready for our first apparatus of the night, and it's vault for Clemson. Sydney, walk us through the points of emphasis.
Yeah, we really want to look at on vault the start value. That's going to be the difficulty of that vault. Is it going to start from that 10, that 10-0, that 9-9-5, that 9-9, then the execution of that? What does the body position, the form look like throughout, those extended lines, pointed toes, and then the biggest thing you'll hear us talk about are those landings. We want to see those sticks. The judges are going to be looking for that no feet movement at all and to be able to hold those landings. So that's what we're going to see on vault from these athletes tonight.
Clemson top 30 in the nation on vault, 25th to be precise, as Quinn Cool will kick things off for the host Tigers. Meanwhile, on the other side, NC State will kick off on bars. And this is a bars routine for the Wolfpack that they have all but lined up to perfection. The last 2 weeks for Coach Kim Landris have been the best 2 scores of the season for NC State.
I think that's something to point out. That's exactly what you want at this point in the year, for your lineups and your scores to just get better and better, more consistent each meet.
Well, the player that the team calls Quincredible kicks things off on this Friday night in Littlejohn, and we're so happy that you're with us here on ACC Network Extra as Quinn Cool comes off of a 9-7-0 at UNC on Sunday.
Getting ready for this big vault. We're going to see a Yurchenko full out of her. Notice the distance she got from the table to the landing. She did a great job being able to really emphasize that. We saw the Yurchenko full being a 9.95 start value, so that hop back is going to be a deduction.
Now we go over to the bars, where we focus on this Wolfpack visiting team, and walk us through the points of emphasis for the uneven bars.
On the uneven bars, the judges are really going to want to see those handstands on top of the bar or within that 10-degree mark. Then those big releases that are required as well, and then the dismount to finish it off. Again, the stuck landing on that dismount as well. But really the execution and the height throughout these releases and dismounts are going to be crucial throughout the routine.
How important is it to have your most consistent player? Kaylee Adamitis, the junior from Long Island, will kick things off. She is the leadoff for bars every week for NC State.
Yeah, the leadoff spot is no joke. That's going to be your most consistent athlete who you can always rely on to go up and give a hit. Not even just a hit routine, but a nice solid score to start off your lineup. So in my opinion, the leadoff spot is your most important of any event.
3 straight 9.8 or higher for Adamitis.
You're going to see she starts off with that release move, that Maloney, right back down to the low bar with that pack. So that is a tough combination right there from high bar to low bar. Now back up to the high bar. See, she does that nice handstand, Stalter, into the dismount, double tuck, and gets the stick. That's what we're talking about with those stuck landings, being able to hold it. Nice start for the Wolfpack.
Only about a 300-mile trek for those Wolfpack fans. Let's take another look.
You see that double tuck dismount, how she gets that height over the bar, and with that, she's able to drop in to that stuck landing.
Meanwhile, you can monitor the scores that will file in on the right as Quinn Cool registers her second straight 9.70, and Kate Bryan, who was thrown into the lineup last week, just one collegiate routine under her belt. That was a 9.7. Her home debut.
We're gonna see another Yurchenko fall. Really nice job on the distance again with that. You could notice the pike down on that landing, so that's gonna be a deduction, but she did a good job with that landing. Take another look here. You can see the approach onto the table. She's able to push off, has to have that pike down, so that's gonna be that deduction, but then is able to minimize those steps as well. So another solid vault for Clemson.
Certainly might see some nerves from some of these youngsters. It looked like Bryant was close to missing the spring on that jump. Meanwhile, on the other side, it's Peyton Childs, a veteran, the senior from Holly Springs, who competed in club with Quinn Cool. We'll talk more about that as the night goes on. A lot of these athletes go way back, especially in the Carolina pipeline.
Yeah, we were talking to the coaches and saying how many of these athletes are from North Carolina or South Carolina, so it's fun to be able to see your teammates and other athletes that you've trained with or competed against in club, now in college. It's always fun.
Childs looking for a bounce back. She struggled against Pitt on Saturday, had a 9.225 as we still await Adamitis' score.
That fall last week was an uncharacteristic mistake for Peyton Childs. We have not seen that from her, but mistakes are gonna happen. I think it's important to note not only the mistake, but what are you gonna do after that, and what does that look like? So you mentioned bouncing back. This is a great opportunity for her to show that.
And a rare delay, usually a well-oiled system. Walk us through the scoring. The judges are gonna sit right in front of the bars here to produce.
Yeah, the judges will be right there. Sometimes they have to be in a certain range and on the same page with that start value, so sometimes that could be the holdup. It's never a fun waiting game, I will say, from an athlete's standpoint.
Meanwhile, Bryant's 9.6 comes in. Remember, 5 out of the 6 scores get registered, so you can always throw one out.
And we see right there on Peyton Childs, she does that kip hop into that straddle Jaeger shoot over to the low bar. That's a combination she had trouble with last week. No trouble this week, though. Nice handstand on top of the bar, blindfold into the double tuck, and a nice landing. Looked like she shifted her feet back the tiniest bit, but did a great job covering it up. We'll see right here again. You can see the release move. She does that straddle Jaeger. Honestly, catches a little far away from the bar, but does a great job being able to hold on and make it down to the low bar. Then to finish it off with that double tuck dismount. Slightest shift of the feet right there, but nice job.
Meanwhile, Adamitis with a 9.725, and we swing it back over to vault as the fans make some noise for the Raleigh native in Maggie Holman.
And we're gonna see a huge front pike into a half. That's a very difficult and unique vault. The height she had, the amplitude, all of the above. She did a great job executing that and then minimizing that tiny step she had to take. We gotta take another look. Look at the height and how she's just able to twist that half turn right there. That's gonna be a good score for them, and that's also a 10.0 start value. Again, we talk about these start values of 10.0 and 9.95, and even though it's a half a tenth, every half a tenth makes the biggest difference, especially as these teams are going into postseason.
And the Tigers, of course, hoping to eliminate that 9.6 from Kate Bryan as Ava Myers, the lengthy freshman from New Jersey, gets set. She's coming off of a 9.775, right around that bar's average for the third Wolfpack athlete to compete here on the uneven bars. Both teams got the pink vibe coming in, even though NC State did have their pink meet a couple days ago against Pitt. They're gonna double up.
Yeah, I love those pink leotards that they're wearing. Starting off, notice the handstands line she has throughout. Beautiful Maloney down to that overshoot. I liked how she was able to get that handstand going down to the low bar. She does that handstand a little bit short there, going into a huge double tuck, and then a nice stick. She's able to drop that in. She drilled that landing. So again, a solid bar routine throughout. Love the blind full right here, and then watch the height. She gets way over the bar and literally drops out.
And the Wolfpack had to replace a ton of talent from their ACC championship season a year ago. Myers, one of a few freshmen in succession that we will see, as Peyton Childs comes in with a 9.8, Holman a 9.75. So Madison Minner, a walk-on, who spent an extra year with her club in nearby Anderson to get a part of this program, looking for a big vault to vault the scores for the Tigers.
We're gonna see a tucked 1.5 right here. Really nicely done. That's a 10-0 start value, but one thing I liked was the height and the block she got off of the table into that twist. The height throughout was incredible, and then she's able to break out. You can see right here, blocks off the table, gets that height, twists, and is able to break out. The Yurchenko 1.5 is difficult because it's that front blind landing.
Yep.
So it looks way easier than it really is, but landing forwards is a lot more difficult.
So keep an eye on that Minner score. She won the event at UNC with a 9.85 last week. And I mentioned one freshman leads to the other for the Wolfpack, as Carolyn Volk out of that Sunshine Club, same as Cool. Volk with a season high of 9.9, so certainly a high ceiling for this freshman.
Yeah, it's also important to have the exposure of environments like this. You're going away, you're on the road, but this is what postseason feels like. A lot of fans, a lot going on at once, so it's great exposure and experience, especially for these freshmen, to be able to get it early on and in the middle of the season as well.
Once again, the judge is just a little behind. Does it add that layer of nerves when you have to stand and wait at your apparatus?
It actually does add a little bit. It's important to kind of stay in your bubble. I will say that's something that you always practice for. So a lot of coaches will do that during practice, that you're ready for situations like that. Starting off here though with the handstand, we're gonna see a huge release move right here. Look at the height she gets on that. Just couldn't quite get that grip on the bar. We saw her nail it last week too. I want to take another look here. She gets her feet on and is able to get way over the bar. She looked like she had a great grip on the bar and just couldn't get that extra grab.
Meanwhile, the freshman teammate of Volk, Ava Myers, comes in with a 9.85. So that's good news for the Wolfpack. You can probably throw away this routine if Hadrick and Harper can stick.
One thing to notice too is she's having to redo this entire bar routine because she needs that bonus and that combination. So really difficult to have to get back on the bar, redo it, and does a great job nailing that combination right there. So again, I know she's gonna be frustrated with that uncharacteristic mistake, but does a really beautiful bar routine with a stuck double layout dismount right after that. Not easy to do, so well done.
And on the other side, Minner generates the highest score of the event for Clemson with a 9.825. And you can see Kate Bryant's score a little bit faded out as Tara Walsh, the senior from Michigan, another player kind of vaulted into this spot with a Yurchenko 1.5.
You're gonna see a really big Yurchenko 1.5. Wow, I thought she had the stick, almost had it, but I really like the body position and the shape throughout that twist. That 1.5 right there. You can see the entire vault. Nice approach on, is able to get that block and break out. Thought she almost had it, just looked like she was a little bit off balance there. So unfortunately, stepping over the white line is gonna be a little bit of a bigger deduction for the judges because of that directional problem, but it'll still be a good score for Clemson.
So the Tigers just hoping that it is over a 9.6. Keep that Bryant score out. Meanwhile, we await the Volk score, which we expect to be in the low 9s due to the fall ahead of the Ellie Hadrick run.
And this is gonna be a pressure situation for NC State now. They've got 2 more athletes that have to compete. Again, this is what you practice for, so it's a great opportunity for them to really step up now. and hit these next two.
Hadrick, very reliable. She's competed in every meet this season, right around that 9.8 average.
I really like that handstand that she had on top of the bar to start the routine. You can see that release move from the high bar back down to the low bar. We've seen a couple of those combinations today, but so far, really beautiful routine. She does that full out dismount. Wow, drops it in. Nicely done. That's a way to bounce back from a mistake in the lineup.
Let's take a look. Her season high 9.85 might be bumped up a notch.
You can see she does this huge straddle Jaeger and then is able to get enough power to do that overshoot combination. My favorite part of the routine, the dismount, full out and just drops it in. Phenomenal job ending that bar routine.
So coming in with the anchor after Walsh's 9.75, this should be a show. Eve Jackson, the redshirt senior out of LA.
Another big vault we're gonna see. Clemson with a lot of 10-0 start values, which is definitely an upper hand that they have. Wow, nice vault right there. She could have easily had too much power and taken a way bigger hop, but she was able to minimize that. So nice job. I really like the power she had throughout, just an explosive vault. So a nice exclamation point for that vault lineup. You can see again right here, the vault looks so easy for her. Nice block, a little bit of bent legs throughout, so the judges may deduct, but again, the smallest little hop forward.
But as you mentioned, she stays inside those lines that Walsh was unable to. So as much pressure as possible now on the anchor for bars as Katie Harper, sophomore from Ohio, all ACC last season on this routine, should put on a show.
She has a really beautiful bar routine. She does great in these pressure situations. She's gonna start off with that Ginger release move. Notice just the form throughout. Her legs together, her feet together. That's what the judges wanna see and what they're looking for. And so far, just the rhythm throughout the bar routines, very smooth. Just has the dismount, double layout. Wow, nails it. I always say sticks are contagious. NC State this entire year has done a fantastic job with their stuck landings. So it's really paying off for them, especially in a situation like this. She gears up for that double layout, nice body position. She is straight as a pencil throughout and then just is able to drill it.
She lets her teammates know it as Kim Landris fired up following a fall in the middle of the routine for NC State with Caroline Volk, but they'll be able to eliminate that 9.275. Meanwhile, Eve Jackson comes in with a high score of 9.825. So Clemson's vault score, 48.850. A lot better than Sunday at UNC, where they struggled in vault and able to truly bounce back well here, as we are set to be joined after this first routine by Amy Smith, the head coach at Clemson, here in a moment as we await Katie Harper's anchor score for the Wolfpack, and it's a 9.9, the highest score in that routine. So we are joined now by the Clemson head coach. Coach Smith, how you doing?
Doing great, how are you?
Fantastic. As always, the atmosphere at an all-time high here. How can you talk to your players about using that energy to fuel them?
Really loudly so they hear me, because it's so loud in here. No, they're using it. They feel the support and love in here, and once again, it's just a great environment, and we're so grateful to have this environment to compete in.
Well, Coach, you guys had great execution and landings throughout. Really strong vault leadoff for you guys. How do you feel about this rotation?
Yeah, I feel like our 10-0 vaults are starting to settle in. We're seeing better landings, so we're moving in the right direction. Excited about that, and excited to get to the second rotation and get bars going.
We're excited to watch it, Coach. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Go Tigers.
Absolutely. The second-year head coach and ACC Coach of the Year in Amy Smith. We're going to step away and get set for the second rotation as these sides will swap after one.
Near and dear to our team with this event is that we will be honoring Robin Eastlick, and she was the owner of, I'm gonna cry. Robin Eastlick opened her doors to us when we didn't have a home. And during our time of training at Easley, Robin was diagnosed with breast cancer. And we would not be here today in the position that we're in without her love and opening her doors to us and allowing us to train during a time that we didn't, like I said, have a home.
What an absolutely heartwarming story. Everybody has somebody to fight for here on the pink meet as we are through one rotation. And well, Sydney, it's certainly something when you see a story like that, and even Coach Smith get emotional with us throughout this gymnastics community around the area.
Yeah, just such a heartwarming and special story. Coach Smith was able to share with us this week, so I'm really glad that we were able to all see it.
And I've got someone that I fight for. My grandmother, Jeanette Fund, has beaten breast cancer twice, and I want to give her an absolute shout out on this night that every sport loves to embrace. The breast cancer awareness night, the pink match for volleyball or softball, baseball coming into gymnastics, and then we've got our pink on as well, and we can focus a little bit on the gymnastics to distract from such a heavy topic as well. And so as we move in and you move from one to the other, vault into bars, bars into vault, where do you feel like the advantage lies through one routine?
I think both teams have done a great job so far. They really came out of the gate strong, so it's going to be good to see the second rotation. The momentum is starting to build. We're really going to be looking for those landings, but I'm excited. I think everyone's pumped up, and, you know, there are a couple mistakes here and there, but they bounce back, and that's what you want to see.
Well, Clemson dominated on bars last weekend. We'll see how the uneven bars treats the Tigers next. Section here in Littlejohn, always on their feet as we've got multiple crowd shots filing through. And as always, if you followed Clemson Gymnastics, here we are in year 2, finishing year 1 with 4 straight sellouts, starting year 2 with a few in a row as we look at the total attendance from last season. And when you have over 8,500 fans in an arena like this, it certainly shows, and we talked about it, it's hard to hear ourselves in this match.
It's absolutely insane. Like I mentioned before, the support they have is incredible, but it's got to make you feel good to have all these fans coming to support you and your sport and these athletes. So I'm having a blast in here just watching, and like you said, I can barely hear myself talk. So,
and of course at Clemson, who excels in so many sports, one of those all-sport universities, and the fans, well, they love anything they can do and cheer on their Tigers. It helps as well when you make the NCAA regionals in your first season and compete for the ACC championship, as we get a meet summary through one rotation. And how pivotal was it for Katie Harper to come up so clutch there at the end and give NC State quite a wide margin of a lead after one?
I think that was definitely a bullet point to pay attention to. Katie Harper coming in clutch, not only with the hit routine, but a 9-9. That's really difficult to do, especially since there was a mistake before her. We talked about opportunities and how are you going to emphasize on those, and she did a phenomenal job doing that.
So NC State, who defeated Clemson twice last season, the only team in the ACC that was undefeated in 2024. Clemson just had the loss to NC State. They will kick things off with Meg Adler, the junior out of Chapel Hill, over on vault as Clemson moves over to the bars. And Adler, who is right around that 9.775 average with a season high of 9.8 a few days ago against Pittsburgh.
Leading off here with another Yurchenko full. Loved the height she got from the table to the twist. Had that hop, looked like it was in place. But again, a solid vault to start this Wolfpack lineup. We'll see right here, as soon as she goes that round off, then the back handspring onto the table, huge height off. and then is able to finish the vault well.
And we enter bars midway through for Lily Lippett, who's been the lead off the last few weeks for Clemson. She stuck her routine at UNC with a 9.850.
So far, so good on this routine. Nice release moves throughout, and nice handstand on top of the bar. Finishes with that double tuck dismount. Almost had the stick. That'll be a slight deduction for that step, but a solid routine. We'll see right here, this dismount. Can see she does that blind full. Nice job there. Great double back, and then almost had it. Smallest shift of the feet. It's hard to know what the judges can see because different angles show different things. So maybe they didn't see that.
Meanwhile, Maddie Hall, the sophomore from Virginia, had a season high 9.85 last weekend here on vault. She will explode off that spring here in a moment.
So far, she does that Yurchenko full again. Nice distance on that. That was a little bit bigger of a hop back, so that's where the biggest deduction will come from. We've seen a lot of Yurchenko fulls tonight. You can see the distance she gets. Nice body shape throughout, but that hop was pretty significant. So the judges can take anywhere from a 10th to 3/10 depending.
Adler's score has come in with a 9.8 to kick things off for the Wolfpack on vault. As Eve Jackson, who had to compete sick last week, and she started things off on bars. Of course, on the road, you start with bars. She had a 9.825 under the weather. So now she's fully healthy. We're expecting sky's the limit.
Really impressive to compete when you're under the weather or sick. And these are things that that people like us don't know or realize. These athletes have a lot going on behind the scenes and are still able to perform at a high level. So huge props to them. You can see she didn't skip a beat. Huge Jaeger release move into that overshoot to low bar. Then she's back up to the high bar. Notice how she was able to hold that handstand on top. Getting ready for this dismount. She does the full out. Almost had it. Little bit of movement on the feet. I thought it was a stick, but regardless, beautiful routine. I liked the height she had over the bar on the release move. Take a look here, way over the bar, catches it immediately down to that low bar. And then again, gears up for the dismount. Drops out the smallest bit, but she holds on.
That follows Lippett's 9.775 as we swing back over to vault. And Lauren Wright, who has competed sparingly, but this is her third straight meet on vaults, the sophomore from Pennsylvania.
And we're gonna see that Yurchenko full again. Really nice job with that controlled landing. She did have a small hop backwards, but I did like how she knew where she was in the air and was able to kind of break out of that full twist. You can see, again, we've seen, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of Yurchenko fulls. So to differentiate and show the differences, that was a great job on that control throughout the entire vault.
It's a Wolfpack team, 21st in the nation on vault as Hall comes in with a 9.75. And Lauren Rutherford, so happy to have her back is Coach Amy Smith. Rutherford made her return last weekend with a 9.85 against UNC. And there's Jackson's 9.825, so it can maybe have a trend here if Rutherford can top that.
Yeah, one thing you want is each routine just to continue to build off the other. That doesn't always mean that the scores are gonna get higher, but that would be the goal, to just continue building throughout. So far, so good on this routine. Beautiful handstand at the end right here. Just has the dismount left, gearing up, double layout. Small hop backwards, but I love the form and the execution throughout. You can see the pointed toes, the straight legs. You can see here on this dismount again, she gears up for this double layout, and notice the body position throughout. Really nicely done. Had a little too much power, but did a great job catching herself on that.
Still just making her return from injury, only competing, as far as we know, on bars after becoming an ACC champ on floor. But we move over to Krista Zoltovich, senior from Pennsylvania. We may see her on floor as well, but vault's certainly her specialty. Looking to keep the Wolfpack flow going. They led by over .2 after the first rotation. And you can see slimmer lead now as Clemson with a couple strong scores. We're waiting on Lauren Wright.
Looks like she just got the green flag. Really nice amplitude and power throughout. Ooh, looks like she's trying to hold on to that. Does a good job not moving her feet, but that will be a deduction. The biggest deduction will be on that landing and the hold, but I really like the explosiveness. Beautiful job throughout. She had too much power, which is a great problem to have, but that's gonna be a deduction, how she's holding on, and again, the hop back.
Daniel Gilman alongside the former Georgia gymnast in Sydney Sneed. Was there anything that you said to yourself? You could see there that Zoltovich kind of said something to herself before she ran down.
Actually, yes, I always said something on each event to myself. Some sort of confident, either word or phrase. That was my favorite thing to do.
Now one of the ACC newcomers to watch, and Hannah Clark.
Starts off the routine a little bit short on that first handstand, but wow, I love that Pike Jaeger combination down to the overshoot on the low bar. Then makes it up for that handstand on top of the bar. She's able to hold that a bit. Gearing up for this dismount, nice double layout. Ends it with a stick. That was a fun routine to watch.
And the first stick of the night for the Tigers. Let's take another look.
You can see this is the beginning of the routine. A little bit of a rush, so I'm not sure if the judges will take a tiny deduction for that handstand, but makes up for it right here. Look at the form throughout. She doesn't even break form and then drops it into that stick.
Meanwhile, a few scores have come in. Lauren Wright with a 9.8. And this is one of the top players in the conference. We didn't see Negretti over on bar. She'll compete in the other three apparatuses. Negretti, last season's ACC Specialist of the Year.
We're gonna see a lot from her tonight, but you'll see on this vault the control throughout. Yurchenko full. Notice how she had so much power and she was able to hop back and save that from being an even bigger deduction. I like how controlled, like I mentioned earlier. You can see she really knows what she's doing, and you can tell through her gymnastics. Nice full, breaks out of it, and then is able to hold that tiny little hop back instead of making it anything bigger.
So another veteran, a familiar face amongst Clemson gymnastics fans as Rebecca Wells gets set for her run. Did not compete at UNC, so interesting to see a bounce back here.
Going to be a really pretty bar routine. Just the confidence she has in her gymnastics is really fun to watch. She starts out with that Tkachev, which we have not seen, into that overshoot. So a lot of combinations from high bar to low bar that we're seeing tonight. Very difficult as well, but just has the dismount left, that full out. The smallest movement of her right foot. Nice job though. They're fired up and they're building momentum off of each routine. You can see right here, she gets ready with that blind half into the Tkachev release. Nice job getting high over the bar and then again down to the low bar. Ends with this full out dismount, drops it, and just the smallest little foot shift right there.
That comes after Hannah Clark, the freshman, registers a 9.825 as Negretti and Zoltovich matching scores there. Ashley Knight will round things out here on vaults.
We saw her stick this last week, huge. Oh, I thought she had it again. One of my favorite vaults to watch. I mean, the height she got and the block she got off the table is just insane. We have to take another look at this. You can see right here, she does the front handspring on and then just makes it look effortless in the air, does the pike half twist. I thought she had the stick, but that's gonna be a huge score for the Wolfpack right there.
And so Ashley Knight rounds it out there, last season's ACC vault champion. And Quinn Cool will calmly anchor for Clemson in what has been a terrific apparatus thus far. Just Rutherford's 9.725, the lowest score.
Starts off with that nice handstand on top of the bar. Really big release move down to the low bar. Notice how she had too much power on that overshoot. Her feet almost hit the mat, but she was able to keep them up. That takes a lot of strength. So really nicely done there. Double layout, almost a stick, but again, really nicely done throughout that routine. You can see right here. Love this angle to be able to take a look at the handstand. She's right on top of the bar. The judges want to see. And then again into this dismount, the double layout. Love the body shape and position throughout. And then was able to hold that landing.
So we've got an exhibition now to round out NC State's vaults. So Ashley Knight's score does come in at a 9.850, so a 49 flat for the Wolfpack as Clemson awaits cool. And the freshman.
Yurchenko full from the freshman. Really nicely job being able to drop it in. I think that was pretty close to a stick right there. So again, that exhibition spot, really important for that experience to be able to change your lineup in and out. Great job.
Yep, Clemson's got an exhibition as well, the sophomore Dakota Berry.
Starts off with that Maloney back down to the pack for her release.
Clemson does match NC State's 49 flat here in rotation 2, so the Wolfpack will take a .225 lead into the turn.
Really nice double layout to finish out that bar routine.
And we are set to be joined by the lady in charge in Raleigh as NC State with 2 strong rotations and the 8-year head coach, Kim Landress. So happy to be with you, Coach Landress, and I'm sure you're happy to see 2 very strong routines from your student athletes.
Absolutely. They really brought what we do every day in practice out here to Littlejohn Arena. We really attacked our landing, so super proud of the beginning of this meet.
Coach, I was just going to say, your landings on bars were on fire. Tell us your thoughts on that.
You know, we drill it every day, every week, and so to see it actually just come to fruition one after another, after another, after another, just so proud of them.
And we talked earlier, you mentioned showmanship was something going into floor next rotation. What improvements are you looking to see from last week and the week before?
You know, I think you always look just to get 1% better every day. So when we go out and compete floor, I want to show, and I'm sure that the crowd will see it.
Well, we're excited for the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Go Pack.
Kim Landress, the ACC championship coach from a season ago. NC State fans happy as we move into rotation 3 next.
The Pack accomplished what they set out to achieve, bring back ACC gymnastics after 40-year hiatus.
For me, it felt very like storybook and very fairy tale. It felt exactly how it was supposed to end.
They were on a mission to be back-to-back ACC champs.
To say back-to-back is a very cool thing.
It was just so gratifying to see them accomplish their goal that night. It was truly special.
And it is fun to see the ACC back in the gymnastics picture. Funny to say back-to-back after, what, 40 years as NC State reached the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2021. And we take a look after a trip to the Ann Arbor Regionals. How impressive is it, Sydney, to see the reload that NC State has had to do after losing some top athletes?
It's so impressive and so special. They had a great team last year. They were a lot of fun to watch. And one thing I love that Coach Landress said about this year is you can't replace the routines with other routines, but just everyone coming together and doing their own gymnastics. So I think it's really special.
Meanwhile, the ACC made huge additions, as we've talked in so many sports, but Cal leads the way at 3-0, and just the second perfect 10 here in the 2025 season as Maya Lazan finished it strong with their first ACC win of the year a couple weeks ago. And how about UNC? They're a little hot now at just 1-2, but they are 4 weeks in a row in the top 25.
Yeah, I think that's really important to note. You want to get hot at the right time. You want to continue to do better, but you also want to peak at the right time. We're in the middle of season, gearing towards postseason, so really crucial.
Moving into the ACC weekly honors as this top conference. Of course, you got to give the perfect 10 athlete in Lausanne, the top gymnast. We saw Ashley Knight on vault. We'll see her on floor coming up next. She is truly a specimen as a gymnast.
I love watching her. She's so explosive and has so much power. Just seeing her being able to work it on the floor and work it on the vault, it's just truly a fun time.
So excited for the next rotation. Beam and floor coming up. Bree Clark, super senior, so talented on beam, isn't she? We can't wait for her next two apparatuses.
I am so excited to watch her. She has been on our watch list, but week after week, continuously just getting better and better. You see that 9.9, not an easy number to hit, but she makes it look easy, so it'll be fun.
Getting that 10 is something I think about all the time. I would hope one's in the making. I would love that. I'm manifesting it this year, please.
Well, the top 20 Wolfpack holding serve after two rotations, and Ashley Knight with the strong vault routine, taking us into that turn. And well, Sydney, it feels like you move into that floor and beam side of things and the entire competition amps up.
Yeah, that's a really good point to call out. You have your events like vault and bars, but then you've kind of got to reset and have a different mindset going into beam and floor. Beam's a little chill, like you got to come down a little bit, whereas floor, you've got to get back amped up. So let's take a look at the beam points of emphasis. Dance and acro skills, the connections. We're going to see some leap connections, some acro skills, and then the balance aspect of that. You want to look confident and just reassured up there. Beam is a make or break event, so again, it's really important for these athletes to be in the right headspace.
Lily Lippett, the sophomore out of Ohio, she leads the way in so many events, and it's important to get off to that hot start.
She starts out with that front aerial to that back handspring swing down. That's one of those connections that we're talking about. And something to remember is they don't start from a 10-0. They have to build the bonus to get to that 10-0. That's through the connections we're talking about, through the dance and acro. And so far, she's looking really solid throughout the routine. She's gonna do that side aerial connection right there. Looks like she's just gonna have her full turn here and then a dismount left.
ACC newcomer of the year last season.
She does a really difficult front full. Looked like she had a mishap on that landing, but did a great job covering it up. Again, that is a front landing, which means it's blind, so a little bit more difficult.
And we swing over to floor, where NC State ranks 17th. This is their best apparatus.
Really important to be able to emphasize on your best events. Know your strengths, and then also your weaknesses. How can you improve and get that 1/10 better? We hear Coach Landris talk about that 1% better each day in each competition.
It's the junior from Chapel Hill to kick things off in Adler. For us, this is the most fun because it's right in front of us. We really get to experience it.
We've got the best view here. Starts out the routine with that Rudy to straddle jump. Love the height she got on that. Those types of passes are really hard to control sometimes because you're so high up in the air. Just like we mentioned on beam floor, you also have those leap and jump connections like she did right here.
Adler with 4 consecutive 9-8 or higher scores here on floor.
That's a really impressive stat for your leadoff as well. We talk about the leadoff spot. One of the most important, so being consistent and getting those consistent scores as well is really impressive. Last pass here, she does the front full to the front layout, no problems there. Really nice, solid start for this NC State floor lineup. You can see these tumbling passes again. She does that Rudy, which is a front 1.5. Does a nice job blocking and has that air awareness perfectly straight on that straddle jump too. Again, that's really hard to be able to control. Then she does that front full, is able to rise on both the front full and the front layout. Nice routine.
So now the athlete gymnast that so many have come to see, Bree Clark, will close it out on beam and floor.
She's so fun to watch because she has so much power. And power's hard to have on beam. Perfect example, she does a standing front tuck. You do not see many of those in collegiate gymnastics.
Started her career at Utah State, followed Coach Smith.
She does that back handspring, back layout. Some wobbles right there, so that's gonna be a deduction, but let's not forget the balance beam is 4 inches wide. I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's the beam, your iPhone is wider than the beam. Ooh. To put that in perspective.
Lippett's score has come in there at a 9.7.
Getting ready for this dismount here. She does another front 1.5, nails the landing. So again, we saw a wobble that's gonna be a deduction on that acro series, but she makes up for it throughout the rest of the routine. Take a look here. The power she has, back handspring, back layout, is able to land it and looked like her foot was just a little bit off there, but is able to save it. And then again, the height and the bounce she gets into that front 1.5 with that stick.
So it moves back over to floor, and the sophomore from Colorado, Ellie Hadrick, season high 9.85. There's what Adler comes in with a 9.85 as well. So that'll tie a season high for Adler.
A 9.85 from a leadoff is the exact spot that you want to be in as a team. Floor is always such a fun event because the athletes are able to show their personalities through the choreography and all the dance. She starts off with the front layout, front 1.5. Nice landing there. Also, doing the choreography and the dance when you're at an away meet is a little bit tougher because you don't have your regular fans or the fans that you have at home. So you really got to rely on your teammates to be able to pump you up throughout the routine.
Meanwhile, that wobble cost Clark 9.675 there.
Last tumbling pass here for Hadrick. It's gonna be a 1.5 to a front layout. I liked how she was able to get the height on the 1.5 and still was able to punch and get the height on the front layout as well. Those combinations sometimes can get tricky with the timing, but she did a nice job. You can see right here, she does that front layout, then bounces up to that front 1.5. Looked like she had a little bit of directional issues, but could be hard to tell from the judge's angle. And then that 1.5, that height, and then bounces into the front layout for a nice floor routine.
Well, thus far, NC State competing like the top 20 team they are, as the freshman from Arizona gives it a run. Danica Nielsen has 4 consecutive 9.8 scores here on beam.
I love the elegance in her dance. The toe point that she has all the way through the straight legs. That's the execution that we talked about in the points of emphasis and what the judges are really looking at. Getting ready for her acro series here. Back handspring, back layout. That's a triple series. We don't see too many of those in collegiate gymnastics. It's very difficult. She made that look really easy though. Cat leap into the side aerial combination as well. Nails that.
9.8 comes in for Hadrick.
Just has the dismount. left, right here for this beam routine. Round off 1.5, gets the stick. Wow, nice routine for Clemson. They're pumped about it. We'll take another look here at the acro series, one of my favorite parts of the routine. 1 back handspring, 2 back handsprings, and then into that back layout. Having to stay straight on the beam for 3 acro skills in a row is very tough.
And perfecting the chest bump as well.
Yeah, that was a nice chest bump there.
So now we see the grad senior out of Pennsylvania, Krista Zoltovich. She did not compete on floor on Saturday against Pittsburgh. She brings something out of her back pocket here.
I do love watching her floor routine. She has a lot of power. We're gonna see a lot of height throughout this tumbling run, starting with the first pass. She's gonna do a 2.5 twist to a front tuck. And every time she does it, it is sky high. Take a look right here. 2.5, bounces into the front tuck. The facial expressions too, another thing I love.
.9825 for the freshman Nielsen. That's gonna set a career high for the incoming Clemson stars. Wolfpack have stayed so steady, haven't they?
Yeah, they've done a great job, like I mentioned earlier, just being able to build off of each routine. It's not easy to come in to a big environment like this. It's not easy to be on the road either, so they really seem like they're staying in their bubble and doing a great job, just not being bothered or fazed by anything. Huge double tuck to finish the routine. Really nice job on both of those tumbling passes. They're gonna be happy with that floor routine. You can see right here, we talked about that 2.5 twist. Watch the height that she gets. Right here, 2.5 twist, and then bounces. Again, the timing from one skill to the next, it is all about the timing. You've got to make sure that you have that air awareness. She had no problems there, and then does that huge double back. Does a good job with her chest, popping the chest up at the end. The judges want to see that controlled landing. It's okay to take that lunge back. That is okay. But more than that is where the deduction is going to come in.
And a sophomore beam specialist from North Carolina's Sierra Church. Career high 9.925 last season as the event winner against North Carolina.
And if you look really closely, you can see her talking to herself, which some athletes do that. I always think that's so interesting and cool. Might be their cues, it might be them just calming down, but starts off with the back handspring, back layout acro series. Love how sharp she is in those finishes. It just portrays a lot of confidence. She does that switch leap to split jump. On these switch leaps and on these split jumps, or any jumps, the judges want to see the 180-degree split angle there. Side aerial, another split jump. She is on fire right now with these skills, and she is moving through it so gracefully. We'll see if she can stick this dismount she has coming up. Taking a couple breaths right here before gearing up. She's gonna do a round off 1.5, and she gets it, an exclamation point to that routine. She's gonna soak that in. I love that routine, just beautiful throughout. Take a look here, you can see that back handspring, huge height on that back layout, drops right into it. And then my favorite part of the routine, that 1.5, opens up and is able to spot that stick. You can see Coach Smith in the background, really excited.
Meanwhile, we saw the freshman Ava Myers exhibition over on vault. She'll compete as the 4th gymnast here on floor following Zoltovic's 9.725. You'll notice that Wolfpack howl to start so many of these routines.
Yeah, it's really fun when you can incorporate your school into some type of floor routine or choreography. She starts out with a huge double tuck. Wow, almost didn't even need that lunge.
Myers at 5'7", one of the tallest gymnast heights that you will see. Quinn Cool at that same level as well.
Yeah, that's really impressive. When you're that tall in gymnastics, it can change the timing of some of your skills, or for example, on bars, the bar setting. So there's little things you may not realize that play a factor into your gymnastics.
Are there any advantages?
I think there's plenty of advantages. I think also her lines are so beautiful because she's so much taller. That extension just looks so much better. So that's a huge advantage right there.
Meanwhile, Church comes in with a booming 9.9.
That does not surprise me at all. That was very well deserved there. Also a great opportunity for Quinn Cool and Tara Walsh to step up and maybe emphasize off that. Here we go, last tumbling pass. She does a front layout and then a half twist. I think she was supposed to do a Rudy, so an extra twist in that. But again, the timing was off. The timing was a little bit off on that bounce from one skill to the next. So we'll take another look here. I really like the height and the bounce she gets right here, sets it up nice, is able to drop it in. And then on the second tumbling pass, she does the front layout. And then you can see how she missed her bounce, so she missed an entire twist. The problem with that is that I'm not sure if she needed that for the start value. So if that's the case, then she won't start from a 10.0. So that could be a huge deduction for them.
Well, from the 5'7" Myers to the 5'8" Cool, as Quinn, as you mentioned, could put up a big number here and put some pressure on the scoreboard.
We're gonna see another triple series right here. Back handspring, back layout. She was moving through that. Beautifully done there. She does a switch leap right there. Was supposed to connect the jump, but see how she was a little bit off, so she's gonna have to try to make up for it somewhere else. She might throw in an extra jump or skill somewhere in the routine to get that bonus back. And this is really impressive to be able to add in skills and think off your feet. If you know you miss a connection, you might go back and try to redo it.
Coach Smith said that Cool is the hands-down most improved gymnast on the squad.
She does a round off, a 1.5 dismount. Had a step, so that's gonna be a deduction there, but is able to hold on to that routine. The acro series was definitely one of the highlights of this routine. The back handspring, back layout right there. No problems on that.
And of course, when Clemson and NC State are gonna tangle, there's gonna be some storylines, and Quinn Cool grew up at the same club as you did with 3 of her Wolfpack former teammates, now opponents.
Yeah, I love that graphic. I got to train with all of them, and obviously they're younger than me, but they all got to train together, so really cool story. We all went to Sunshine Gymnastics, just a blast, and again, cool to see them all in college.
Now a very talented run coming. Ashley Knight trying to manifest herself into that perfect 10 score, something that her head coach, Kim Landris, did in the Big 12 championships for Iowa State. She became the first Iowa State perfect 10 in school history. Now Knight saw that clip about a half an hour ago as she said she wants that perfect 10.
One thing, too, I love about Ashley Knight is just the power and the explosiveness she has. We saw it on vault with that huge front pike half. We're gonna see it again on floor. And it looks like the judges were deciding about that start value that we talked about, because she did not have the bonus that she needed due to that twist that she was missing.
And that's Ava Myers, the freshman who went a moment ago for NC State, and now Knight gets the green light. Myers with a 9-0, and that's going to hurt the score unless the Wolfpack can come up big with these final two. Although Knight and Negretti are certainly talented enough to carry the squad.
Knight and Negretti are exactly who I would want in my lineup after a score of a 9-0, which again, even though it wasn't a fall, it was that bonus. But starts off with a front double full. Her height is unmatched. I absolutely love it. And her fun choreography. You can just tell she's having a blast out there. Look at the height she's getting on just these jumps.
Sophomore from Greensboro, Ashley Knight, who has back-to-back meets with a 9-9 or greater here on floor.
You can see her teammates hyping her up behind her. Getting ready for this last tumbling pass here. We're gonna see that front Rudy to a back tuck. Now she's supposed to do a back layout step out there. We saw her nail it in warm-ups, and it's beautiful when she does it, but it looked like she just could not get that bounce that we saw earlier. So we're seeing a couple of bounce and air awareness right there issues, but no issues on this front double full. Beautifully done. That's a textbook double full there. Then again, you can see she has a really good Rudy 1.5 there, but just didn't quite get the bounce, so she does the back tuck. Not sure if she's gonna need that for her bonus or not.
I was gonna ask, is that something the judges are aware of, knowing she needs that extra jump?
The judges are aware of those things, mainly because of that bonus, and they're tracking it on their sheets as well. So if that was a bonus skill that she needed, then that's gonna hurt the start value.
So now the grad senior transfer from Michigan State and Auburn in Tara Walsh. She's filling in for the sick Kylan McCright. Walsh with just one beam routine under her belt, and it wasn't a great one. 9.475 a few weeks ago. See if she can improve on that.
The cool thing about gymnastics is that you're never gonna be perfect all the time. Mistakes are gonna be made, but the thing is, you get each week to just continue to get better. And so far, that handspring back layout, no problems there.
Meanwhile, Cool's score has come in 9.45.
And that comes from that leap connection that was missed that we mentioned earlier. Wow, what a beautiful beam routine so far. And this again is a type of pressure situation. They're gonna be looking for a nice hit score from her to end this lineup. And so far, she's delivering. She's been spot on, just has the dismount. You can see her teammates cheering her on. Let's see if she can get this stick. She does a round off, 1.5, and she gets it. Wow, that was a beautiful routine. It looks like she surprised herself a little bit on that stick. We'll take another look here. You can see the series, that back handspring, back layout. Wow, that gives me chills to watch a routine like that. And then does the round off 1.5. That is gonna be a big score for them. One of my favorite parts. Her team so pumped for her.
Truly an incredible routine, coming off of knowing she's only done it once this season, and it was sub 9.5. We'll keep an eye on that. Walsh score on the right is Negretti, last season's Specialist of the Year. There's her accolades as Negretti looks to anchor a solid routine thus far for the Wolfpack.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's many more accolades she can get. She's got them all, but she is one of my favorite gymnasts to watch. You can just see the intensity in how she attacks her gymnastics. Take a look at her tumbling passes here. You're gonna see a lot of height, but you're gonna see some controlled landings.
Knight generates a 9.875.
You can see starts out with the double pike. I think this floor music is very fitting for her as well. Talked about just the fierceness that she has. Getting ready for her next tumbling pass. It's gonna be a front full, front layout. She just floats on that. It looks way too easy for her.
Meanwhile, Walsh just shy of a 9-9.
Really beautiful extension and toe point throughout. That execution factor she has nailed down. Last tumbling pass here, it's gonna be a round off double back. See if she can get that landing. Wow, yeah, that's gonna be a big score for them. That's why this is one of my favorite routines to watch, because she makes it look easy. You can tell she's a vet on the team. Take a look here at this double pike. She has some serious air awareness. She knows exactly where she's at. 24/7 in all of her gymnastics. And last pass, my favorite one, just drops it in. She's like, yeah, I know, I got that.
So now Clemson with a couple exhibition runs. Maggie Holman, then Hannah Clark. But that Bree Clark stumble costing Clemson what could have been a 49 or higher routine here on beam.
Looking at their scores, though, they did a really great job. Great gymnastics. I like the confidence that they showed. A couple mistakes here and there, but that happens. So they're fixable mistakes. And like we mentioned, we saw some really great things throughout all of the routines. One of them being Tara Walsh, finishing it out for them.
Meanwhile, we await that important Negretti score that will bump away Ava Myers' 9-0.
Finishes with that round off 1.5 dismount. Nice job holding on to that.
So both of these teams last season, Sydney, were in the top 36, reaching the NCAA regionals. Here's our road to nationals top 30, and as we stand, 5 ACC teams, if the season were to end today, would be moving on to the postseason. What have you seen? You're very familiar with those bottom 3. You've seen them a few times, NC State, of course, and Clemson here. North Carolina, we mentioned, getting hot lead.
Yeah, you can just see the improvements and how they've gotten better year after year. Those scores continuing to improve and just the confidence that they've had. This really gives them that boost going into the postseason.
Clemson has a tough road as they will host Stanford next week. That's a Sunday afternoon Youth Day meet. As an exhibition comes now from Katie Harper, the sophomore from Ohio.
We talk a little bit about exhibitions, but they really are good for these athletes to be able to go in and get that exposure and the experience of being out on the floor and knowing what that's like, because you never know what's going to happen, whether, hopefully not, but injuries, or if people need to rest some weeks and you need to put another athlete in. Being able to switch in and out is really crucial when there's so many needs in the season.
Meanwhile, Negretti's score comes in at 9.925.
Did we expect anything less?
Specialist of the year in Chloe Negretti. That's going to tie her season high. You mentioned it. The music did match the intensity of her routine.
I think that music just describes her as a gymnast.
So a lead of over 4/10 going into the final rotation. It's going to need a Hail Mary of a floor run from Clemson coming up next.
If there's a team that can do it, though, it's Clemson on floor at home. A very solid floor routine for the exhibition in Katie Harper.
And we talk about Clemson with comebacks. How about earlier today, the Clemson Tigers baseball team with a comeback win against Oklahoma State to kick off their season. And what a week it has been against ranked foes, both tennis squads upsetting South Carolina. And then that big win over Duke that had Littlejohn, this Coliseum, going crazy last week.
Yeah, that's so cool to see. Just all the sports, all the support that they have. Take a look at that. Wow. That's got to be exciting if you go to school here, live around here, right? To root for this team.
Oh, there's no doubt. Clemson is not just the name of the town, it is the heartbeat of this upstate area. As Hannah Clark, the final exhibition run here on Beam.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite parts was coming into Clemson, seeing the tiger prints all over, outside, and even on the road.
And we both went to schools that bleed. For you, Athens; for me, Gainesville, and Clemson has that same
feel,
atmosphere, no doubt about it. Not to mention the proximity. Littlejohn, so close to Memorial Stadium, right across the street from Jervey Gym. We've got baseball and softball just behind that. And we'll talk in a little bit about the renovations that are coming up and expansion projects right after this break, where we've got one more rotation to come as the Tigers look for a mighty comeback here on this Friday night.
Clemson, I mean, the resources that they provide, it's truly incredible, and I feel like I've grown so much as a person and learned a lot about starting up a new program.
Well, certainly invaluable when an athletic department rewards the student athletes, as Clemson going under a sports expansion on the women's side. The Elite Athlete Recovery Center, the total cost of over $35 million, and not just gymnastics, but lacrosse and the Athlete Recovery Center debuted right there, coming out soon. Should be fantastic to see it all.
How incredible. I want to be able to go tour in there. It looks absolutely insane, but on top of that, just shows the support that they have from fans and just from everybody. So being able to be a student athlete means a lot more. So that's super cool to see.
And there's the breakdown of all the square footage. Get me into one of those pits of foam.
21,000 square feet for a gymnastics practice facility is absolutely crazy. Yeah, I think I want to go play around or jump around in the pit as well.
Speaking of jumping around, the students here in Littlejohn getting ready for the show, as the Clemson Tigers and their floor routines are must-watch entertainment here into the final rotation. Clemson trails by a large margin and looks to get things started on the floor with what should be an entertaining performance. Lily Lippett will kick things off for the Tigers. Bree Clark will anchor it, as Clark has been targeting that perfect 10 score. We're getting ready for it.
I think that our floor dance is gonna make us stand out more. We've been working so much on it and like perfecting it, and we want to be that team that wows everyone with our dance.
3 rotations. So happy that you're with us alongside Sydney Sneed. I'm Daniel Gilman. Well, it's all Wolfpack on the meet summary, isn't it? As 3 different gymnasts have stolen the show on each of the apparatuses. First Harper, then Knight, and Negretti closing out so strong on floor.
Yeah, I've really liked how NC State's just continued to get better throughout. Clemson has done the same, though. We've seen mistakes a little bit here and there, but we've also seen some really good, solid routines. We've seen a couple 9-9s, and we've seen a lot of bounce backs, which, again, is exactly what you want at this point in the season. You want that consistency. And now, 4th event, Clemson on floor. It's going to be a show to watch, and then NC State ending on beam. That's also going to be a test on, in a way, meet to get that high road score is what they're going to be looking for.
Well, the Wolfpack with a tough loss 2 weeks ago against top 10 Cal. They bounced back nicely in the win over Pitt. A look at this upcoming schedule. If they can get by North Carolina, the schedule eases up a bit out of the conference, and then the ACC championships coming to you in just a little bit. So excited to see how this season might wrap up. Those ACC championships on March 22nd in Greensboro, as the schedule, so much of it on television through ACC Network Extra into ESPN Plus. And on the other side, Clemson's gonna find themselves with some tough competition. You've got the dual meet here on Youth Day next Sunday, and then Georgia, Texas Western, and New Hampshire will be on the call for that one on the 28th. A quad meet with a top 15 team as well.
That's going to be a really fun meet, but you can see these schedules, but also just the exposure that women's gymnastics is getting and how popular it is now. It's so much fun to watch, and the ACC continuing to get better, adding those two teams, Cal and Stanford as well, has been a blast to watch.
Well, we look at the top 30 for the ACC. Cal is 3-0 in the conference, and there's their average score. Stanford 3-1. After tonight, NC State will move to 3-2, barring a huge comeback from Clemson, but the Tigers just looking to stay in that top 30, aren't they?
Yeah, that's exactly what they're gonna want. Again, NQS scores we're starting to see now at this point in the season. It's gonna start gearing up for what does postseason look like and what they want from that. Every 10th counts. That's where those landings come into play that we've been talking about.
Well, 49 here on floor has got to be the target for Clemson to get to that average. Meanwhile, we start looking on beam, and Meg Adler will kick things off. We talked about it a little bit before, but what are some of your points of emphasis for beam?
Yeah, beam is really going to be about the consistency. You want that confidence, but we're going to be looking at the acro skills. We're going to be looking at those connections to get that start value to the 10-0, and then we want to see those stuck landings. All those play into a factor of getting that solid beam score. And as a team, anywhere in the 49 on beam or floor for both these teams is gonna be good. Talked about it before, but Meg Adler, this is her third event that she's leading off on. Very difficult to do. Leading off on beam too on such a hard event and nerve-wracking event is impressive as well. She does that back handspring, back layout. Beautifully done. Now does that switch leap into that straddle quarter right there. Again, we said it before, but looking for that 180-degree split level. Side aerial. I've really loved watching her all year long. She just has so much confidence that she portrays throughout. You can see she does that cat leap into the switch side, but she's just very graceful and elegant with everything, making it look so effortless.
Adler had a 9.8 on vault, a 9.85 on floor.
Ends with that gainer full off the side with a stick. Again, their stuck landings. They have done a phenomenal job this year on each event with those. You can see again the acro series, back handspring, back layout right here. Really solid start for the Wolfpack. That's exactly what you want your leadoff spot to do right there.
Meanwhile, Lily Lippett, the sophomore from Ohio, kicks things off on floor. Get ready for a show.
She's facing the student section right now. Getting everyone hyped up here. Ready for this first tumbling pass.
I mean, this is the OG hype-up song.
She starts with that huge double back. Wow, nice height on that.
Career high for Lippett, 9.925 on floor.
One thing this Clemson gymnastics team said is they're really excited about their dance in their choreography, and we touched on it a little bit with NC State too, but it's a lot of fun when you're at home and you've got the home crowd with you.
Here you see Trinity Brown, who suffered a season-ending injury last week.
Gets here, hold up that 2 for Team 2 at Clemson. We'll see that in every single floor routine. Getting ready for her last pass right here. She's gonna do 1.5 to a front fall. No problems there. What a great start for this Clemson lineup. Take another look here, both those tumbling passes. Love this first double back. She sets it up so nice. You can see the block right there, the height she gets, drops out of it. And then again for this last one, she does that 1.5 into a front fall. So 2 twisting passes in a row. And notice how straight she was in line too. That's also really hard.
So Maddie Hall, sophomore from Virginia, over on beam. This is her main event. She's competed every single meet with a couple 9.85s.
Starts off with that back handspring back layout. We've seen a lot of those tonight, but one thing I like about Maddie Hall is just the form and the execution she has. Those straight legs, the extension all the way through her toe point, that is hard to teach in gymnastics. So sometimes it just comes natural, and it definitely comes naturally for her.
Adler with a 9.8. Another strong start. Have the Wolfpack started any worse than 9.8? It's really been a strong night.
Yeah, when I've looked at this Wolfpack team on every single event, just the confidence that they've had and the consistency is something that has just stood out to me. See right here, just has this dismount gainer full up the side and ends it with a stick. Nice job. Just the confidence that they have in this beam lineup, I'm loving it.
And the Wolfpack continue to stick. And I mentioned Trinity Brown. She was the one that spent all week talking about the perfect 10 that Bree Clark is due for, but the Achilles injury suffered against Pittsburgh. She's got a perfect 10 banner right there on that scooter you'll see on the background as Maggie Holman takes the floor.
First tumbling run right here. She does a front double fall. Breaks out of that. Has that smile and the facial expressions throughout. She does that switch side to straddle full. Talking about those lead combinations too.
Lippett with a 9.8, Hall with a 9.775, and
really like this floor routine and the choreography. I think sometimes people forget that you've got to practice not only the tumbling passes and the leap combinations, but also the dance. You have to memorize these routines, and that takes hours on top of regular training hours. Last tumbling pass here, she does a Rudy, supposed to do a back layout there, but couldn't get that punch a little bit, so does a back handspring instead. Not sure what the judges will take on that, because I have seen people do a Rudy back handspring, but again, we'll take another look to see. First pass here, she does that front double full. Notice the height, doesn't let her feet come apart. I really like how she was able to control that landing as well. Then this last tumbling pass here, she sets up for the Rudy, really nice here, and then just looks like her knees buckled. She couldn't jump, to get that back layout step out. So we'll see what the judges take on that.
Meanwhile, Ashley Knight over to beam. Just her 5th meet of the season on beam, a 9.7, her season high against Pitt on Saturday.
We've seen her on vault and on floor so far today. We've talked about how powerful of an athlete she is. You're gonna see that as well on balance beam. She starts with this front walk over to a front pike toss. Really unique combination there that we haven't seen tonight. Now setting up for a side aerial. Had a little wobble on that. But it's still moving through the routine nicely. She does that switch leap to that straddle jump. Just a little bit of wobbles here and there. But then finishes with that Rudy, takes a step on that. So a solid routine for NC State. A couple wobbles here and there that are gonna add up for some deductions. You can see the front walkover acro series we're talking about here. Really difficult to come up frontwards and then go straight into another front toss skill right there. You can see her teammates pumped when she landed that.
And this is an NC State team that has continued to get better the last few weeks, and they may be on track to their first 197 of the year. Remember, they had a 197.5 in the ACC championship last year as Minner gets ready for floor, trying to stay loose.
And we talk about peaking at the right time. That's exactly what that NC State team did last year, what they're looking to do again this year. But I touched on it earlier, the confidence and the way that they carry themselves is just really noticeable, and I think that that's what's contributing to their success week after week.
Meanwhile, that Holman score is taking longer than normal as you see the 3 judges conferring right in front of the floor mat.
And that's gonna be because of that last pass that we talked about. Not sure what they'll take on that, because technically you can do a Rudy back handspring, but you also could tell that she messed up on it a little bit. So from the judge's point of view and perspective, I'm not sure what they'll count on that.
Meanwhile, Knight with a 9.625. So the door is certainly open if Minner, Arnold, Jackson, Clark can all go nuclear here for Clemson. They're gonna need a lot of help. But as we mentioned, you're not just playing against NC State, you're playing against your average score, and getting a 49 is right around that target here for Clemson's floor. If they can get over 49, they'll probably hit that season average and keep it.
And I think that's very doable for them. One thing too to keep in mind is that the judges are having this conference. It's loud in here. They're trying to keep the student section pumped up and the fans, because you want to keep that momentum building. That's an advantage that they have being at home, like we talked about. So you want to keep that up. You want to keep the energy up and the crowd involved, even when there are situations like this where there's a slight pause.
And Minner is a veteran, the redshirt junior out of Anderson. Career high 9.9 on floor. The last 3 meets have seen her eclipse 9.8, so you mentioned it, Minner also looking to get better as the season goes on, and now the judge conversation is through, and we wait for that green flag to ignite the sparkly leotard of Madison Minner.
Let's see what they do right here. Maggie Holman score. It looks like they're gonna take that big deduction, not count that connection right there. Even though she She did put her hands down, but again, didn't get that bonus connection she needed for that start value of a 10-0. So that is going to be the score that they're looking to drop.
Right.
Keep that in mind when we're watching the rest of these floor routines. A little bit extra pressure added. We've seen pressure situations already tonight. That's what they train for, though. These are situations you train for in the gym, you practice in the gym. That's part of the sport.
So, of course, those two scorers will lead to what we've been looking at. You mentioned it here. Walk through maybe some new fans to the sport, what exactly she's missing.
Yeah, so she does that Rudy, and then you can see she has to put her hands down. She was supposed to go in the air without her hands touching. So again, that causes the judges to take that deduction and connection bonus.
And so you saw the score on the board. Instead of a 10-0 start, she gets a 9-4 start and finishes with an 8-7-7-5. So now Minner, with a long delay, is ready to roll.
It's really important for this routine to get everyone back on track and focused on the next couple of routines that they're gonna wanna hit. Starts off with the front double full though. That's how you do it. Talk about floor being a fun event for your personality, but it's also difficult cardio-wise and fitness-wise to be able to get through the entire routine. A lot of spins on the ground there. Crowd's going wild over that. Next tumbling pass right here. She's gonna do a 1.5 to a back layout step out. That's the pass that we were looking for in the last routine to put it in perspective. But she has no problems there. Gets them back on track with a nice hit floor routine. Great job. We'll see right here. She does that front double full. I love how her feet, her legs, they don't come apart. That form is great. And then last pass, the 1.5, and then bounces into that back layout. Love the rise throughout as well.
So we'll keep an eye on the scoreboard there. Meanwhile, the senior from Holly Springs in Peyton Childs comes off of her season high of 9-8 last weekend. This feels important as well following that 9-6-2-5 from Knight.
It's definitely important, and also we saw the pause on floor, but also take into account that they're having to wait on beam as well. So it's important to be able to stay warm and in their own bubble as well. Back handspring, back layout, acro series to start off. And then that switch leap to straddle quarter. Bit of a wobble right there. I really like throughout this routine how she's just in her own rhythm. Not too slow, not too fast, but just pacing herself. She let cat leap into that front toss. Wow, great save on that because she was really crooked, at least from our angle, it looked like it. Now just getting ready for this dismount. She's gonna do a back handspring, gainer off the side, gainer full. Slight hop backwards, so another solid hit for NC State. A couple of wobbles that we saw throughout the routine as well. That'll add up to a little bit, but overall, a good hit for them. One of the highlights of the routine, that back handspring, back layout series. And then the gainer dismount the side. She gets a nice rise, pikes it down a little bit, but is able to hold that to a minimal shift backwards on the landing.
Over to floor where Madison Minner generates the 9-8, same as Lippett. And we see Molly Arnold for the first time tonight, all ACC on floor a season ago.
Starts off this routine with a smile. First tumbling pass right here. It's gonna be a big one. Round up, back handspring, full in. That's an E tumbling pass. When we talk about that, your skills range from A to E, A being the easiest, E being the most difficult. So that puts it in perspective of how hard that tucked full in was.
She's got big score potential, a 9.95 last season for Arnold. As Childs has come in with a 9.675, so there will be one of those 9.6s that will count for state.
Second tumbling pass right here. You do a round up by handspring, 2.5 front tuck, and she sticks it. Wow, really pretty routine. That is gonna be a big score for Clemson. It's getting loud in here now.
We mentioned that Clemson has had a week filled with comebacks around their sports.
Let's take another look here. You can see she ends with this huge 2.5. She's able to bounce. It looked like her legs, her knees buckled a little bit after the 2.5, but she still bounced up. So really impressive there.
So you talk about pressure. Katie Harper is feeling it on beam as the sophomore from Ohio. Back-to-back 9.8s these last 2 weeks. She's looking to continue the momentum.
So far, she's looking really confident and solid, getting ready for this acro series. Back handspring, back layout. Good job on that. A little form break throughout. Cat leap into that switch side leap combination there.
Arnold with a 9.8, so 3 9.8 scores. May not be enough, though, for the Tigers.
Another front toss. We've seen a couple of those tonight. Just has the dismount left. Gonna want to be looking for a stick here. Front tucked full. Almost had the stick. Looks like she almost held on to it, but couldn't quite get it. Again, a solid routine for NC State. Nicely done. We'll take another look here at the acro series. That back handspring, back layout. You can see the form break a little bit, those legs bent, but she's able to stick that, and then again on the dismount. Front full in the tuck position. Tried to hold on to the stick.
Meanwhile, redemption on the mind of Eve Jackson. She had a 9.175 last weekend at UNC. Gonna give these fans something to cheer about. The penultimate run here on floor.
We're gonna see a lot of explosive tumbling in this floor routine.
Hear that? ESPN Sports Center.
Yeah, I love that. Getting ready for this first pass. It's gonna be another tucked full in. Wow. That's when you know it's easy for you, because she didn't even have to grab her leg. She did an open tuck full in. Love the teammates doing it in the back. I always said, you learn your own floor routine, and then you learn the 7, 8, 9 other gymnast routines as well. So that's always fun.
Harper is in with a 9.7, so it has not been the strongest of beams for NC State.
Next tumbling pass here. A front tuck through to a double back. She had a lot of power on that, so it was a little bit of a bigger lunge. It's gonna be probably some deduction there, but again, too much power is a great thing. I loved watching that floor routine. And ends with that 2 held up. Way to go. We'll look at all those passes again. You can see the tuck full in, my favorite pass to watch. She doesn't even have to grab her legs. Wow. That was awesome. And then this last tumbling pass, front tuck through to that double tuck, sets it up so nicely. That's gonna be a really nice score.
So the anchor and the star of this Wolfpack squad as Chloe Negretti rounds out what has been a tremendous night for the visitors.
Yeah, this is a routine that you can sit back and just watch and enjoy. We talked about how fierce of a competitor she is. This is really where she excels and shines. Front aerial to back handspring for the acro there. She does that cat leap, that switch split. So far, she's moving through this routine very nicely. No wobbles.
Jackson's score comes in. It is a 4th 9-8.
Getting ready for her dismount here. It's gonna be a round off double full. Don't see many of these anymore. It's one of my favorites to watch. Smallest little hop back, but wow, what a nice routine to round out their lineup. Didn't expect anything less from her though. We'll see again this front aerial just floats throughout, looks so effortless, connects it right into that back handspring. And then again with the dismount, I love the double full. Just the form throughout, her feet don't even come apart, and then again, just the smallest little hop backwards. This is gonna be a big floor routine right here.
I was gonna say, the woman of the hour, Bree Clark. She will not be doing the Biles, which is that double layout with a half twist.
She
will be
doing a double layout, which we're gonna see some big tumbling here. This is what we've been waiting for. Huge double layout. Wow, so explosive. This is another routine we can just sit back and enjoy. I have a smile on my face watching this.
There's Negretti with a 9.850.
I have to just call out that straddle full right there. I think I could have walked underneath her. That's how high she got. Just to put it in perspective for those watching on TV. This last tumbling pass here. Front layout, front full to a front tuck. That was 3 skills in a row, and the crowd goes wild. They're all chanting that 10.
And Coach Smith is trying to encourage it as well. Love the atmosphere here.
You can see the reaction from her teammates there. Loved getting to watch that. What a treat. You can see here just the explosiveness she has. Double out, sets it up so nice. Drops right into it. That is another E skill that we mentioned early on the broadcast. And then the height. I mean, she was above their heads right there.
Wow.
And then again with this last pass, I love 3 in a row. Front layout, then she rises again on the front full, and then rises even higher on the front tuck. So, wow, nice job there.
Worth the price of admission as Brooke Smead exhibition finishing out this dual meet. Let's see Bree Clark's final score as it comes in on the bottom right. 9.925 for Clark on floor. So Clemson will get just above their season average. The NQS score was 195.645, just shy of 196, and a 0.1 differential, 1/10 of that score. Clemson was able to cut into it pretty heavily. They got 3-2-5 back on this final rotation, but just 1/10 shy of completing the comeback.
Absolutely. They did a phenomenal job, especially ending on their rotation of floor. NC State being able to end on balance beam is not easy either. But it's been a really fun meet to watch, and I've loved watching the momentum build event by event. Even though there were mistakes from both teams, they didn't let them phase them. And again, that's really been fun to watch.
Well, both teams surpassed their NQS scores, and we wrap things up from Pink Meet here in Clemson, South Carolina. Next broadcast Sunday as Clemson hosts Stanford. For our entire crew here in Clemson, for Sydney Sneed, I'm Daniel Gilman saying so long as NC State takes it 196.050 to 195.950. This aired live on the ESPN Networks and is available on demand. Presentation of ESPN.